All right. How is everybody doing tonight? Welcome to the 4th episode of Talk Turkey to Me here on the Bow Hunting League. And let me tell y'all before we get started, I am incredibly excited tonight. Not sure if you caught the preview event, but we're going to be talking all about hunting turkeys in extreme conditions. And I couldn't ask for a better group of guys to talk to you about this topic than the guys we have this week. And I say that because everybody that we are talking to this week is currently on the top 10 list of the 2023 King of Spurs. So we are going to be talking to a bunch of bona fide killers who know how to get it done with a bow for turkeys. And so I'm excited to bring the guys on. We're going to start off introducing the guys one by one. Grandpa Rob, we'll figure it out. Let me get somebody to help you out, and we'll make it happen. But we're going to bring guys on one by one. We're going to have them let us know how their season is going. And then we are going to get into talking turkey when it comes to extreme conditions, whether that be high heat or no heat, rain, thunderstorms, different climates such as mountain birds compared to deep south birds, compared to easterns, whatever it may be. But the guys that you're going to be hearing the tips from this week are just the straight up turkey assassins. So without further ado, I'm going to bring the first guy on, and that's Mr. Taylor Teets. Taylor, how are you tonight?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing well. Hey, how are you doing so far this season? Where are you sitting at? And give us a little bit of a rundown of how your season's gone.
I've had a pretty good year. This was my actually first year committing to, archery only for turkeys. It's been a great time. I've killed 3 birds. I'm tagged out in Tennessee, and I don't have any other more tags left. I ended up killing a bonus bird here in our local state in Tennessee as well. So they gave me 3, but I tried to kill 1 in Kentucky, but it just didn't happen. I ran out of time, and their season closed last weekend. So, but I was tickled to death to be able to kill, 3 birds my first year, and it's been a blast.
Yeah, that's awesome. 3 birds in a season, all with bow, correct?
Yes, sir.
So that is a heck of a season right there. Where are you sitting in King of Spurs so far this year?
I think I'm number 10. I'm 10th. I'm at the bottom. This was the first year I didn't kill a decent bird. Every bird I killed was, a 2-year-old bird. So I struggled on that, but hey, I'm happy.
Well, hey, top 10 in King of Spurs is you say I'm in last in 10th. I have yet to kill a bird for this season, so you're significantly ahead of the majority of the members of the league this year. So,
like I said, I'm tickled. So I've had fun, and that's all that matters, anyways.
Absolutely. Well, welcome to this episode of Talk Turkey to Me. We're going to bring a couple more people on, and then we'll get to chatting.
All righty.
For those that want to know, my daughter Hadley is going to be popping in and out of this week's chat. So she's a up and coming huntress herself. So I'm excited to have her listen in on all these tips and tricks. All right. Joining us for the 3rd week in a row, I believe, is Mr. Kyle Hawk. Kyle, I think this is your third week joining us, correct?
It is. It's my third week in a row.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you are out scouting right now. Is that correct?
I am. I'm driving around northern Minnesota trying to find myself a bird to hunt tomorrow morning while I'm up here on a work trip.
So just out of curiosity, where in Minnesota are you?
I am right outside of Bemidji, Minnesota, so pretty far north.
Okay. Well, not to spoil anything or anything like that, but if you happen to make it down and scout the Brainerd area, let me know, because that's the area that I'll be in by the end of this week. So,
well, I mean, I pinned a field of like 6 toms this morning when I went through Brainerd.
Okay. Well, good. That's all I need to know. So we'll just leave it at that. Don't give any more secrets away. We'll leave that field of birds to have me find it here at the end of the week.
Yes, sir.
And just for the sake of it, Kyle, as of last update, you're sitting in 8th in the King of Spurs. 2 7/8 inches worth of spurs killed so far this year. So you're just plugging along and just smacking turkeys in the face as much as you can, huh?
You know what? To be honest with you, I'm a little disappointed in myself. I killed those 3 birds the first 2 weekends of hunting in April, and I have not done very well since then. I finished second last year behind Justin. I was hoping to be up more towards the top, but time's running out, and it's not looking good for me. I'll probably stay somewhere towards the bottom of the top 10 if people don't pass me up even more so.
Well, I mean, anywhere in the top 10 is something to hang your hat on. So,
Yeah.
The beauty of it is, right, you can say that you're in the top 10 of the world's largest archery only turkey competition. So,
hey, there you go.
Anything is better than nothing, huh?
It is. That's just a personal goal. I wanted to get a little more this year, and it kind of fell flat for myself this year.
Well, I mean, either way, you've got a season to hang your hat on so far, and sounds like you're doing your best to make it happen even more yet this year.
That's the goal.
Let's bring our next person on, and we're gonna go all the way down to Justin. Justin, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good. How's everybody over there?
Doing well, Mr. Justin. The barefoot assassin, just the absolute slayer in the central eastern United States, being Tennessee, Kentucky, all that. How's your season going so far?
Man, I've had a good season. I've had to slow down a little on my traveling. I've got a baby due here, actually past due currently, and so I knew that I wouldn't be able to travel as much. Trying to keep the workload around the house as light as we can. Wife. But I did get to see my son. He killed his first archery bird, and he's 11 years old, and I killed 4. And so it was a good season. I can't complain. So.
Yeah, I mean, that was I knew that, behind the scenes, knowing the group within Bow Hunting League, I knew that you were going to focus a little bit more on getting family kills this year. And not pay as much attention to chasing the glory of King of Spurs. But it was still fun seeing you just put those zinger fletches to work and just smack a bunch of birds in Tennessee and even with your family killing birds as well. So congratulations to you, and good luck to your wife. Due any moment, apparently, talking on the phone with you earlier. So if you all of a sudden just drop off, you are completely exempt from any criticism we may have.
10-4. Looking forward to the evening.
Yeah. Well, we will add another killer, Mr. Adam. And Adam, if you don't mind, would you mind turning your phone? You are currently sitting very, very sideways on everybody's screens. Oh, like other way. Other way. You are upside down. There we go. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. How are you guys?
Doing well. Adam, you are sitting in second place for King of Spurs right now. How's your season going besides absolutely fantastic with all the birds you've killed?
Yeah, my season's going quite well, better than I ever thought possible, actually. I kind of had a personal goal this year of shooting 6 turkeys. That is where I'm at now. I'm not totally done yet. I don't think. I might give it another day or two, but I'd like to help my brother get on a turkey, and maybe he can upgrade for the pasture pimps.
Hey, I mean that we mentioned it last week, right? It's no longer the season of just have everybody on your team kill. It's have everybody on your team kill and then put the upgrades in, right? So being able to do the upgrade and try and get your score as good as possible is the name of the game. But man, 6 birds so far this season. Where have you killed so far this year?
I have tagged out in 4 states. I went to Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska, and Missouri. 2 in Missouri, 2 in Nebraska, and then 1 in each Iowa and Kansas.
Man, that's a heck of a season so far. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Awesome. And the legend himself sitting in 4th place. Let's bring on Mr. Grandpa Teal. How are you, sir?
What's going on, boys?
Man, I'm glad to see that you figured out this technology thing and were able to join us today.
I got Justin on here helping me and my wife come home, so I got it figured.
There we go. Awesome. Well, you're sitting in 4th place so far this season. How? Give us a little recap. How many birds have you gotten, and what states have you been hunting in?
Well, I've killed 3, and I hunted Oklahoma, which is a 1-bird state, and then Kansas, which is 2 birds if you go to Unit 2. And I got my 2 birds out there and pretty much done.
Okay. It's a little bit interesting. You mentioned Oklahoma as a 1-bird state. I remember about 4 years ago, Oklahoma was a 3-bird state, and it was 2 birds in the same county, and then you just had to change counties for the 3rd. And it's pretty crazy how much they've shifted their focus for the sake of managing their turkey flock down to, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're a 2-bird state, but 1 per county now, right? Or are
No,
they
it's 1 bird. It's 1 bird statewide. It used to be a 3-bird state last year where you could go to 3 one-tom counties and kill 1 bird in each one, or you could go to a 2-bird county and kill 2 birds and then go to a 1-tom. But now it's just 1-tom statewide.
Okay. Yeah. I had the privilege of hunting there a couple of years ago, shot a fantastic Rio. I believe it was Woods County. And had an awesome time with some of my best friends, killed my biggest tom to date down there with a bow. So interesting to see how their focus has shifted to make sure that the turkey population maintains in that great state and the tradition can continue. So, but congratulations on your 3 birds so far this year. And, sitting in 4th place overall for King of Spurs. Hopefully you can get out and add to that total and keep making a run at it.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Well, I know that we'll have some additional people joining us throughout the day or throughout the evening here. We've got 1 person in queue that I promised I wouldn't bring on until about 7:50 or a little bit after. So we'll be watching for Justin. I forgive me. One of you guys might know, how do you say Justin Fiston? Does anybody know how to pronounce his last name?
I do not.
But anyway, Justin is sitting in 5th in King of Spurs, and he's in the middle of a shift handoff at work. He works night shift and said that as soon as that handoff's done, he'll be joining. But we're talking turkey tonight, guys, and we're talking tips, tricks, and tactics for extreme condition turkey hunting. And what we mean by that is how do you guys hunt birds in high heat or no heat? or rain or thunderstorms or anything that could be what we consider a crazy weather scenario. I have the privilege of being on a team this year that has a lot of newcomers to the turkey woods, and that's been the biggest thing that they've talked about is, oh, I'm not going out this week because it's supposed to rain all weekend. Or, oh, I'm not going out because it's so cold that the birds aren't gobbling, or they won't come in. So what have you guys done in all of your states of travel for turkey hunting to overcome that extreme weather scenario? And Grandpa Teal, we'll start with you.
Well, Oklahoma, it was real hot. I hunt out of a blind. I don't reap. I don't do the spot and stock. I mean, I have tried it and I have killed a handful of birds with it, but I usually put a blind up, take plenty of liquid. If it's going to be hot, the weather really don't come into play unless it's just raining extremely hard. I don't go out, but if the wind's blowing or misting or sprinkling, if it's hot, you just dress appropriate and drink plenty of liquids and just sit in there. People say, my big thing is everybody always says, how do you sit in there all day? Well, when you're 50 years old and overweight and out of shape, sitting in there ain't hard.
Yeah, and that's the common focus. I've hunted Oklahoma, so I know you talk about extreme heat, but what about high winds? What are your tips or tricks in those super windy days where your call may not travel as far as you want, or you can't hear a bird gobble? What do you do to combat that high wind scenario?
Okay, in Kansas is where I usually have a lot of wind. Everybody knows it's always blowing up there. What I do personally, and this is what I do, I'm not saying it's the right way, it's just what works for me. I usually, if the wind's blowing, I don't set up where the grass is real high. Predators is the number one kill. So I try to set up in, a plowed field or an area where the grass is very short, where the birds feel comfortable. And then just wait, put a few decoys out, and I call a little bit. I don't call a lot. I'm not one of them. I don't get aggressive. I just yelp a little bit, set my call down for 30 minutes, yelp a little bit, set my call back down for 30 minutes, and just kind of play the waiting game. But with that being said, I run cameras all year, feeds in some places all year. So, it's not like I don't know the birds are there. I try to find where the birds are at, and then it's just a waiting game. I mean, they're gonna come by eventually.
Right. Yeah, I mean, all awesome tips. Some people, I'm one of the guilty ones, right? And being in Michigan, we don't have the high winds or the constant wind like some of the Western Plain states or even in the South have. And I catch myself being what I would consider overly aggressive with my calling if I have a windy day. I try and over exude myself, make myself too loud, and strain the call. And it's interesting to hear that you don't let the wind really phase you. You still stay true to just your classic yelps and clucks, and just hope that your knowledge of the terrain and the birds and their location and travel patterns overcome your lack of being able to project the calling. So that's awesome tips to anybody who may have a windy scenario. So thank you. All right,
The one thing.
Go ahead.
The one thing that I will say though about the wind is just try to hunt shorter grass areas. Birds seem to get a little spooky with the wind blowing around real good and stuff. I usually, like I said, try to hunt plow fields, but we have hay meadows that backs up to them, and they will not go in that hay meadow. They'll walk down the edge of that field. So they're aware of the wind blowing.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I've never had to deal with it, but those are tips that I'm definitely going to mentally log. And if I ever get the chance to head to Kansas or Nebraska or anything like that, turkey hunting, I'm going to save that in the memory bank for future use. So thank you. Taylor, what about you? What's an example of some extreme conditions that you've hunted in, and what tips or tricks do you have to overcome adverse conditions?
Well, what I think is on them bad days, the rainy days or the windy days, you need to make sure you're hunting in areas that where there's turkeys at. I run a lot of cell cameras, and one of the birds I killed this year, I killed him at almost 11 o'clock because he was hitting a clover field, and I went in there and sat on him all morning and killed him. But the technology of these cell cameras is, I mean, it's not cheating, but man, it sure makes the life a lot easier, to pattern turkeys. But I would just recommend not going to areas that you haven't been before on them nasty days, because your birds aren't going to gobble. If it's raining, they're going to go to fields. They're not going to be in the woods when the weather's bad. Turkeys like to be able to see. They like to be able to hear. And luckily here in Tennessee, we don't have extreme winds. I mean, we get some thunderstorms blow up. And, on them days, I just try not to hunt. I mean, I like to hunt in the rain because, if you got a good field where birds are using, they will be there in the rain.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Being where the birds are is a huge part of success, right? Knowing that it's a common area for birds to be, knowing that birds are there and not having to stress about, that is a huge part of it, right? So
yeah, they got to be there to be able to kill them. So, and if you got bad weather and not knowing if there's birds there, that wouldn't be the first time I would go hunt that property.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree completely. Let's see who else has something to say. Mr. Kyle, you're an out west or northwest hunter. What extreme conditions have you had before that you've had to hunt in for these birds?
Well, I will say probably the most extreme conditions I hunt in snow, and I hunt in snow quite a bit because I honestly love hunting in snow. But I'll just reiterate what was just talked about is that you got to know the birds are there. Typically, when I'm hunting birds in the snow, you might hear the hens a little bit, but those gobblers will not make. Once in a while they will, but for the most part, the general rule is that they're not going to make a sound in the snow. And for these mountain birds, I'm primarily talking about Merriam's, also Easterns in the prairie of South Dakota and Nebraska in the heavy snow. It's going to be the same thing. The only thing they're focused on typically in a day is moving from roost to food and back. And the key is knowing that they're there, and then either getting between them by knowing where they're going back and forth, or and a light breeze helps to cover up your ground. Fresh snow, not crunchy snow, but I've had success literally just following tracks in the snow and very slowly and paying attention to the woods in front of me, and just getting into range because you are very quiet in the soft, fresh snow.
Yeah, no, that's exactly, the whole thing is being in that area where birds are and being quiet, sneaking into an area. But like you said, just knowing where birds are seems to be the common trend for killing a bird in extreme conditions.
Yeah, and I will add too, as far as focusing, at least my experience in the Dakotas and Nebraska is that, if you're doing preseason scouting in the wintertime for or fall or early spring, you're looking for really big groups. I mean, you're going to find groups of birds that can be 50, 100, 200 birds. And if you're trying to hunt them opening weekend, you're typically going to find them in those giant groups. So a lot of times, you're better off putting on a lot of road miles, just trying to find those big giant groups. And a lot of times in the Dakotas, Nebraska, even Kansas, I mean, I've had great success knocking on doors. I mean, I've had a lot of times that landowners are more than happy to let you on, especially if they're in an area where they're getting into horse hay, they're scratching at their feet in the wintertime. They want them killed. They want you to kill more than you have tags for a lot of times.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you, you brought up a good point. When you're hunting flocked birds, right? Large, huge groups, what's your strategy? Are you trying to call to the hens, or are you trying to call to the jakes or toms, or what's that strategy when you're looking at huge groups of birds?
When I'm shooting big groups of birds like that, I'm typically not calling at all. There's too many eyes. I don't want to be pinpointed wherever I'm at, because they can hear you so well. They'll pinpoint you fast, and then you have whatever, 100, 250 pairs of eyes on you. I don't like to call it all in that situation. I am relying on my scouting and knowing where the birds are going and getting myself either at the point they're going to or in between. And typically when I'm shooting, I'm looking for an opportunity either early on in the large flock. If I'm in an area that allows me to kill multiple birds the same day, like I've done in South Dakota quite a bit, I'm trying to pick out a mature tom early on in the flock so that the rest of the flock will still work through afterwards. Or if I'm in an area where I might have multiple tags, but I can only kill one per day, I'm looking to pick off a bird at the very back of the flock. I'm letting most of the flock move through and picking off one at the back so that there's no interference with the rest of the birds coming back the next day.
Yeah, I mean, that makes total sense. Is try and be as stealth as you can, selective in your shot and where you are in the flock. It's interesting. I wouldn't have thought that you would not call at all. That wouldn't be my first instinct. So awesome tip right there. Thank you. All right, Adam, we're going to swing over to you. I haven't heard from you yet. What's an extreme condition that you've ever hunted in, and what tip would you give to the group? Oh, Adam, you're on mute. Can you unmute yourself?
Oh yeah, good call. Thanks.
Hey, there you go.
Around home, it's pretty much a guarantee that it's going to be windy. It's kind of like death and taxes. So my best advice is stay home if you can, if it's going to be an extremely windy day. And that kind of sounds goofy, but you do have to ask yourself, am I going to do more damage than good? Am I going to go into this area and spook these turkeys? Around here, a lot of times you only get one chance at a turkey, so you don't want to squander that opportunity. And like everybody's been saying, rule number one of hunting turkeys is hunt where the turkeys are. Rule number two of hunting turkeys is hunt where the turkeys are going to be. So for me, scouting is extremely important. Whether it's the fall, I'm hunting deer, I'm still scouting turkeys. I'm looking for turkey scratches, turkey feathers, trying to figure out where they're roosting. If it's January and February, I'm carrying a rifle, I'm hunting raccoons, but I'm also scouting turkeys. So for me, no matter what I'm doing, I'm always scouting turkeys. If it's March, I'm out looking for antlers. I'm still scouting turkeys, trying to figure out where these turkeys like to be. So that's my best piece of advice, is scout like crazy all the time.
So where do you primarily hunt, Adam?
A lot of my hunting is done in Missouri. I like to hunt along the Missouri River. I kind of crazy. I take my boat out and I sleep on my boat a lot. And I'm pretty much only hunting public land, I'd say about 90% of the time.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's amazing that you're out sleeping on a boat, making it happen and stuff like that. How consistent is turkey's sign in your area? If you find dust bowls where they're dusting themselves off, are they there spring after spring, or is it always moving and changing?
Yeah, we don't have a lot of turkeys. Our turkey population's pretty sad. That's why I got into hunting raccoons and coyotes so heavy. But yeah, I've definitely noticed that if I find a spot with turkeys one spring, there's a very good chance they're going to be there the next spring.
Yeah, and that seems to be, no matter who I talk to, where in the United States, and the bow hunting league and hosting this podcast has kind of helped with expanding my range of people I'm talking to. But everybody seems to kind of say the same thing. If you can find an area that birds are frequenting, they're going to frequent it season after season. And they may not be there in the fall. They may change ground in the fall. But if you can find them one spring, they're going to be there the next spring, unless something completely changes in the entire surrounding to push them out of the area. So like you said, that winter scouting, that spring scouting before the season, and then maintaining that scouting through the season. If you can find where birds are, that is absolutely where you want to be.
Yeah, you're right. And I actually took a guy earlier this spring and I said, it's about a 25-minute boat ride. I have not scouted it this year because it's so far away, but there were so many turkeys in there last year. I just know they're going to be back there again. We went in there and he actually shot a triple beard. So
that's awesome.
You're definitely right. Year after year, they do the same thing.
Man, I dream of killing a multi-beard bird at some point in my life. So that is awesome. We're gonna swing it over to the barefoot ninja himself. What extreme conditions, Justin, have you hunted in, and what are some tips that you would give to everybody that's tuning in tonight?
Well, being I traveled a lot the last 3 years. This year I didn't, but I did get to go to Texas. But I traveled a lot the last 3 years, and when I'm traveling, your weather is what you're going to get, and you don't get to the comfort of staying home or not hunting. And so rain and wind are probably your two most common extreme things that you hunt in. I haven't experienced really extreme heat yet, so I'm other than here in Tennessee. But last year I had a very cool encounter in Oklahoma. I was traveling back from Texas. I had an Oklahoma license and I hadn't filled my Oklahoma tag. I got my license because I was going through Oklahoma and I was like, I might stop and hunt. And so I had my license and I was coming home, and it was, late in the evening. It was one of those where you generally wouldn't go turkey hunt. It was, within an hour from dark, and it was right in the middle. A tornado and a major storm front was ahead of me. And I actually pulled into the farm and it's still pouring rain. And I was like, I ought to give it a try, at least pull in and glass fields, because I know turkeys come to fields when it rains. And so I was like, I'm going to at least pull in, I'm going to glass, and I'm going to listen for turkeys in the thunder. That's one of the things in extreme conditions, your storms, if you're near birds, it's quite often that they will gobble the thunder. It's a very efficient shot gobble. And so even in the pouring rain, just 3 mornings ago, we had a gobbler, pouring rain, and he gobbled like 5 times. I mean, a downpour, and it was thundering, and he was gobbling the thunder. But anyway, I pulled into this farm and rolled the windows down a little bit and was glassing with my binos, and I actually heard a gobble from the car. And I couldn't see the birds, but I heard him gobble, and it was still thundering. It had just passed. And when I say a major storm front, it was flooded, like over my knee boots. The fields were just big puddles everywhere. In fact, the water actually guided the turkeys to me. I knew I'd been to the farm before to deer hunt, and I knew where the turkeys had roosted when I was there deer hunting. And I said, I need to go to that area. If he's gobbling, I can get to that area. I actually didn't call to him until they were in sight, because the thunder was still going in the distance. And it was just, every time it clapped, he would gobble. And it was like 3 birds coming with a group of hens, and they were coming to roost. I mean, I set up within 100 yards of where they would fly up if they were going to roost in the same place I had seen them in the wintertime. And I shot a bird at like 30 minutes before dark in a flood. I mean, it was major flooded. one of those times, you know, where most people, you would just go on home. You're like, this is ridiculous to go in here and try to hunt. Everything's flooded. You can't, I mean, it was major flooded. Killed a bird, and he was soaking wet and nasty and looked ugly, but I got my tag field for Oklahoma that way last year. In the extreme wind, I'm not a guy that likes to just sit still. I can't really sit still very well. And I tend to actually call very loud and move around a lot. And I want to strike a gobble. And if I can get one gobble, then I'll focus my attention on glassing that bird, trying to get eyes on the bird, because the wind and the rain, in my opinion, they're not going to move much. And you can figure out where they're at and use terrain to your advantage. You have the best opportunity at sneaking up on a bird in the rain and the wind. You got movement cover from the wind blowing branches and trees and leaves. And then also sound cover, so they can't hear you as good, you know, breaking sticks and that sort of thing. And they're not going to move a lot. Most of the time, you're more getting a shot gobble. You're not really getting a response necessarily, but if you can get them to gobble and get your focus, you know, to look for that bird, then find it. Obviously, if you see birds, then there's no need to get them to gobble, you know, once you see them. And then using terrain and studying the area they're in and figuring out where they're going to move to next in that area. That's, you know, in my opinion, it's actually I don't quit usually when it's raining or I mean, if it's coming an absolute thunderstorm, I'll wait it out and go in right after the rain a lot of times. But if I can, I'm still hunting that day. I'm not staying at home to wait on the rain or the wind.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that you said that. That's been one thing that's helped me be successful in the past is if you can time when the storm is going to end, whether it be just a rain event or an actual thunderstorm or whatever, if you can be in an area that birds are historically at and get in right when that storm ends, it just seems to be that recipe for success. They seem to get back to being talkative and active right after a front passes through or right after a storm or rain event ends. And they just seem to be a little bit with their guard let down. Like, okay, the storm's over. You know, they get back to talking and stuff like that and just seem to be huntable. So I'm really glad that you called that point out.
Yeah. No, and the other thing with wind would be when I was in Texas, I experienced some wind in some different spots there, and looking into the bottoms where a lot of the area, if you're hunting an open area, a lot of your creek bottoms or your bottoms where those lines of trees are, if you can find meadows within those lines of trees, a lot of times they'll seek shelter. They, like Robert said, they don't like tall grass and brush when it's windy and raining. But if you can find a short grass meadow or someplace that has a protection line as well, they will use that and you know, utilize that area in the weather conditions that are to their disadvantage to predators.
Absolutely. Well, let's bring on another Justin. You're running away from the computer here, but we'll give him 1 second. Hey, there he is.
Sorry about that. I'm trying to multitask right now. I'm getting pulled in a few different directions here.
Oh, that's no problem. Justin, how do you say your last name? Because I'm promising you I butchered it earlier.
Well, it's just like it's spelled, you know, just sound it out. No, it's Norwegian, so it's a tough one. It's Fiskejahn.
Okay. Well, you're sitting in 5th place so far this season in King of Spurs. You've had a heck of a season. Give us a little bit of a recap of how your season's going.
My season this year is actually almost a polar opposite from what I had last year. Last year we had a lot of snow on the ground through the entire month of April, and it was just an absolute nightmare. And I struggled so bad with my bow last year, missing birds and just blowing opportunities. it's pretty terrible. So this year I got things kicked off the right way. I think it was my second or third day out. I was able to arrow a really nice bird in North Dakota, and that kind of kicked my season off the right way. And then I decided to make a trip over to Montana because I live basically right on the border between North Dakota and Montana. Had 2 tags in each state and made a run down to Montana to a spot that I absolutely love. It's my favorite place to hunt turkeys in the world. And it's several hours from home, so I always sleep in my truck down there. And I decided to make the trip and go down there. And this spot is so cool because it's in the hills, and from like the main road, you would never have any clue that it was like this little turkey mecca. You get back in there, there's one group of cottonwoods where there used to be an old dam, and that's where all the birds in that area roosted. And when I drove in there, it was like Clark Griswold seeing the sunlight shining on the tree. I mean, it was just like, that's it right there. And I've hunted that spot several times over the last few years, and I call it the roost spot because the birds will roost in those same trees every night. So I got a little spot there in the Russian olives below the roost trees where I can sneak in and out and try to get it done. And it's been a pretty awesome spot for me. But went down there and was able to double up in the same day. Killed my first one that morning and killed the second one, I think it was 8 hours later. I sat all day in the blind, was able to double up on 2 really nice birds. And then it was just this last week where I hunted a new unit that I've never hunted in Montana, bought a 3rd tag over there, and ended up decapping another bird over there. And he was the smallest bird that I shot all year. It was my 4th bird. And I don't think that one's been updated yet in the King of Spurs, but I don't think it's going to have a big effect. I'm going to be somewhere still in the 3 to 5 range. And that's pretty awesome for somebody like me to be in the same breath as some of these turkey hunting legends that are running around the country. So.
Well, you say that everybody else is a legend, but I'm going to read this comment to you. One person says there's no birds left in the western half of the United States thanks to Justin. So clearly you are creating quite a legend of yourself as well, man.
Well, that's awesome. I have kind of a guess who that might have been who said that. If it was who I'm thinking of, yeah, he's a good dude, and I enjoy chasing the birds around in this part of the country, and I get a lot of invites to come hunt other spots, in Minnesota and further east. But these birds out here, man, I have a tough time filling all the tags I have here, so it's hard to travel on top of that. I usually get 4 to 5 tags out here, and as you guys all know, finding time to balance work and family and hunting and everything else, it's a tall task to arrow 4 to 5 birds with your bow in a spring.
Yeah, I mean, even without balance and work and family, it's a tall task to fill. Apart from the Barefoot Ninja down there, who's taking a little bit of a back seat this year for family. Most of us don't, well, I say that everybody on this week's podcast is just a bona fide hunt all they can, straight up killer group. But most are weekend warriors and stuff like that. So hearing the tips, tricks, and tactics from you guys is absolutely, money to make the weekend warrior a potential success. So you talk a little bit about hunting in North Dakota and Montana, and I mean that's way north, way west compared to what most people are. I can almost guarantee you have some extreme circumstances, and I'm guessing most of them are around snow or cold rain in the spring. So what tricks do you have when you experience those crazy weather scenarios to try and still make it happen?
Tip number 1 is make sure you have a buddy heater, because when it's cold out there, man, and I do a lot of all day sits, and I don't know how many guys out there have the patience to do that, because I mean in the spring you're talking 12 to 14 hour days from before sunrise till after the sun goes down. But yeah, heater is crucial, and lots of little propane bottles too. And the worst part is
we'll pause real quick and
yeah.
Grandpa Teal, just so you know, a buddy heater is something that you carry in the woods to keep you warm. Knowing that you're from the South, I'm sure that
We want to clarify that it's not a person that you got
right, exactly.
use
That's right.
friction to keep warm with.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I actually sometimes, I hunt out of those Barnett Ox 5s quite a bit, and they're pretty big and roomy inside. So one of those heaters a lot of times isn't enough to keep enough heat in there. So sometimes I got to pack 2 of them in there. But yeah, that's definitely tip number 1. A lot of these guys had great tips earlier too, especially when it's that cold. I mean, the birds they're not in a mating pattern. They're basically in a survival mode. Like that's what they went back to last year for the whole month of April. There wasn't really much breeding going on. They were in large groups, and out in this country, you find the cattle and you're going to find the birds. I mean, that's where they feed cattle all winter. They'll be in there scratching around in the cow poop and, getting kind of an easy meal there. And usually they'll have, straw and hay laid down for when they start calving and stuff. And they love to get in there and scratch around and that stuff. So when I'm looking for a new spot out here, the earlier the better. March is usually when I get out and start looking pretty hard. And like some of the other guys said, they're going to be in big groups that time of the year. They're easy to find. And unfortunately, I'm going to kind of put my foot in my mouth here because I never thought I would say this, but this was the one year that I was hoping that we had crappy conditions that stayed into the season, because it actually got kind of nice out that first week, and it caused a lot of the birds to start splitting up from their bigger groups. And I had watched a bird all the way up until season that had, from what I could tell, at least 5 beards, possibly more. I mean, he was, two 9+ inch beards and then several other multiple beards hanging off of him. And I knew my best chance to kill him was if they all stayed grouped up. And the last time I seen him was like 3 to 4 days before season opened. And then it hit 70 degrees after like a stretch of 30s and 40s. And the next time I went down there 2 days later, he was gone. And I looked all over hell trying to find that bird, and I couldn't turn him up again. But that was definitely my dream bird, And yeah, I was like, come on, please stay cold and crappy and just keep these birds grouped up and keep them on the feeding pattern. I think I can get in close and maybe get an opportunity, but wasn't in the cards this year, and ended up killing a nice bird down there. But it kind of, as any hunter, big deer or whatever else, when you're chasing one specific animal, when you don't know where they went, if they're still alive, I mean, it just kind of gnaws at you. So the unknown has been eating me up here the last month and a half.
Absolutely. And man, I can't imagine chasing a bird like that. I mean, you're talking, even a double bird for me, where I am hunting Easterns, that is not common to see a double beard. But when you're talking 4+ beards, that is an absolute bird of a lifetime. So I can't imagine what it is trying to find that specific turkey. For me, my turkey season is whatever bird will gobble at me and I can convince that I'm a seductive hen to come in. That's the one that I'm going to get to target a tom. It seems like a foreign concept, but man, would I love to be able to do that at some point in my life.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a foreign concept to me too, because I'm the same way. Like whatever bird is, I guess, naive enough to come into my setup and give me an opportunity. Like I'm an equal opportunity shooter. So if I get a tom that comes in, I'm not, looking at his spurs next to the bird standing next to him. I've had 4 or 5 birds come in at a time before over the years, and it's always, okay, which one's giving me the best shot? That's all I'm really focused on. And yeah, this was kind of a first for me, and I was really looking forward to the challenge of, trying to match wits with one particular bird, and then he kind of disappeared on me. And with 5 tags to fill, I couldn't chase him around for too long, and I finally pulled the plug on it. And I've still, even after filling my tags down there, went down and tried to find this bird just to confirm to see if he's still alive. And I haven't turned him up. It's some nasty country down there. I mean, really big hills and cedar draws and stuff. And he's gone. Hopefully he's back in there somewhere and I can get a crack at him next year, but definitely not in the cards for this spring.
Yeah, I mean, that would be amazing. So I can't wait to follow along on the journey. Hopefully you can connect with them.
That's the hope.
All right. Well, we're going to bring 2 more people on to wrap up today. We're going to start hopefully Fingers crossed. Mr. Kevin Whitley, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, you've got some service issues going on. We can hear you. We can't see you, but we can hear you. So give us a little bit of how your season's going. You're sitting number 9 right now in King of Spurs. So clearly your season's not going poorly. But how's it going so far for you?
Well, it's over for me now. But it's hey, anytime you can fill 3 tags in a season, and I had an opportunity for a 4th one and didn't make my shot, but I outfit, so I've got to balance the people that I have coming in to hunt, the birds I have to hunt, and pick and choose my times when I can get out. Doesn't affect a group that's coming in. Make sure I got the birds that they're coming to hunt. And this spring, things kind of started off slow. It's like the birds were a couple weeks behind, and things didn't really start happening until the second weekend, going into the third week of the second full week of the season, since the season started on April 1st. But other than that, yeah, I'm barely hanging on in the top 10. If this podcast with the King of Spurs was another week behind, I'd probably be out of the top 10.
I mean, it all depends, right? Who's still out there? Who's trying to make it happen? And can they actually make it happen? But even so, you're sitting mid-May. You're sitting in the top 10 of King of Spurs in overall what is an incredibly successful season for Bow Hunting League and all of its members. At this point in the year, I don't know if we've ever had the amount of birds killed like we have this year. Now I know that we've finished seasons for King of for the Turkey League with more birds killed, but I don't know if we've ever killed this many birds at this point in a season before. So to be in this top 10 is quite the feat overall.
Well, this league, obviously we saw it during the this past deer season. Every year, each competition we have, the members, that are joining the teams, just increase leaps and bounds, and it's a fun, exciting thing part to be with. This is my 4th spring. This so far, I'm 4 times part of the King of Spurs, and I'm honored to be part of the group. Last year, I was trying to chase Justin Miller. This year, Steve Grace joined. I've been trying to get Steve Grace to join a team for like the last 2 or 3 years, and I knew once that guy got involved in it, he was going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he was going to be the next person that I brought on, but I think based on what I could see on his camera in the preview, he may be out scouting for more turkeys and may have dropped off in an area that he doesn't have service. So if he does pop back on before our hour mark is up, we'll definitely give a shout out to him, but he's currently sitting, almost 3 inches ahead in King of Spurs, which is just what feels like an impassable margin to be at. So between Adam, who's on the chat, and Adam, how do you feel knowing that you're sitting in second, but you are 3 1/8 inches behind chasing that number 1?
Yeah, I feel okay. I actually did get a bird Saturday, so I think I got another just over an inch on that. So I think I'm at 6 something.
Okay.
But like I mentioned, I do have 2 tags left. They're out on an Indian reservation, which actually gets hunted harder than public land, I think. So it's going to be tough to catch up to Steve. He's out scouting. I'm sitting here on a podcast, so he deserves it. He's a heck of a turkey hunter. There's no question.
Absolutely. And honestly, to clarify, all of our scoreboard positions that we refer to are always the week prior to the episode. So the scoreboard that I'm referencing is last week's scoreboard. So if you shot anything after last Tuesday, it's not reflected in what we talk about tonight. So the fact that you killed another bird, have over another inch, that puts you even closer margin with Steve. But, nothing but the best of luck to you for the rest of this season. Hopefully you can make it happen on reservation tags. And, let's make it a shootout all the way to the end of the year, huh?
Well, If that's the case, Steve's probably added another 4 inches since the last time we did scores. But yeah, I'm going to try and help my brother to get an upgrade. I'd like to see the pasture pimps take the crown.
Yeah, I mean, historically, the pasture pimps have always been in this some form of a lead and then just kind of piddle out at the end and look like pasture pansies instead of pasture pimps by the end of the season. And hopefully you guys can stay ahead of the Outlaws a little bit this year and make it happen. But for the rest of the teams out there within the top 5, I would say, go out and kill birds, and you've got a chance to overtake them because we all know at this point, if you followed the contest at all, anything is possible in the Turkey League. One good double or triple beard bird could take you from 4th place to 2nd place or 3rd place to 1st place. So every single turkey, every chance to get out in the woods counts. So, but Adam, good luck to you. Congratulations. Right now it's sitting over 2/3 of the way through the season and in 2nd place. So can't wait to watch you finish out this season strong.
Thank you.
All right. Taylor, I don't remember what you said. Did you say that that your season was done, or are you still hunting?
No, I'm done. Like I said, I hunted Tennessee opening weekend and tagged out on Sunday in Tennessee. Then I ended up killing one more bonus bird here that we get on public land. And actually, me and Miller hunted Kentucky last weekend, and I just screwed up. I missed, but that's part of it.
Yeah, it sure is. And I want to draw a point to that, right? I missed earlier this year here in Michigan with my bow. And actually, unfortunately, last year I missed as well. That was more of just my lack of preparation. I didn't realize that my string had stretched. And when I went to draw back on a nice tom last year, my peep twisted. And I tried to guesstimate where I needed to anchor and totally blew it. This year was just nerves. I was hunting with my dad, and I was trying to kill one with a bow at the same time he was trying to kill one with a pistol, and just totally blew it. But it happens, right? Even from the most experienced hunters, don't be afraid of the misses. Use them as learning experience. Pick your bow back up, knock another arrow, get back out there, find another spot, and keep hunting. Don't let a miss overcome you with anything. Get back on that horse, draw that string back, and let another arrow fly. So
yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, if you bow hunt them long enough, you're going to miss them. I mean, that's just part of it. They never hold still for one, and we wasn't in a blind or nothing, and it was a tough shot, and I just misjudged my yardage. But part of it.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on a fantastic season so far. Thank you so much for coming on tonight's episode and giving us some of your tips and pointers in those crazy conditions in spring turkey hunting.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Grandpa Teal. I'm assuming that your season is done.
Sir.
I think that you said that you were done. But once again, another amazing season for you. If you had one thing to tell inexperienced or struggling turkey hunter out there, what's your one live and die by bow hunting turkey tip?
Well, the one thing is, the guys that's on here, yeah, we've all had success this year, and we're all, probably good hunters, but we didn't wake up to be good hunters. I mean, everybody, when they start out, is going to struggle. Every season that you have, the one thing that you got to remember is whatever you messed up this year, take it to next year and learn from it. The stuff that worked, use it next year. The stuff that didn't work, change it. But keep grinding. Don't give up on your bow. I've missed, everybody misses. But the one thing I do want to say, though, Steve Grayson, he might win King of Spurs this year, but Justin Miller will be back after him next year, and that's going to be good.
Absolutely. And that's what's fun. Last year we had the banter back and forth. Justin was calling people out in the chats and the comments, and we had that big time competition in the King of Spurs realm. And I want to call it out, right? Justin isn't in that one or two battle this year, but he could be next year. But the thing is, there may be somebody watching this right now that could give every one of us the run for the money next year.
That's like Steve Grayson. I mean, I didn't know who he was last year. Now he's on the scene this year. He's pretty much got it wrapped up.
That's exactly right. And all it comes down to is are you willing to put in the time and the effort and make it happen? And that's what the beautiful thing about the bow hunting league is we're just a bunch of die-hard avid archery hunters that love the sport, that want to see each other succeed. And it's an open platform to just try and make it happen. So, congratulations to Steve for 2/3 of the way through the 2023 season, sitting in a comfortable lead in first place. But who knows? In 12 months from now, we could be talking about a totally new face to the game, coming in on that top spot. So, Grandpa Teal, thank you so much for joining us tonight, for giving us your tips and tricks, and for just sharing all that knowledge with us.
I don't know about knowledge, but I appreciate you having me on, Lance.
All right,
and
sir,
I do know what a buddy heater is.
You did know?
Yeah, I do know.
Oh, okay. And it's not just a friend down the road, right?
No, it ain't Kyle Hug.
All right, sir. Well, the Barefoot Ninja. I want to personally say thank you to you, Justin, because you did a lot of the legwork behind the scenes this week, getting all of these guys on this episode. So thank you for reaching out to the top 10 in the King of Spurs and organizing tonight's episode, and for taking the time. I know that we talked on the phone earlier, and you actually milked cows early just so that you could be on tonight. So thank you for all of your effort.
Yeah, no, it was actually not my idea. It was Mr. Grandpa Teal's idea, but I just rolled with it, and I said, "Man, that's a good idea. I'm going to reach out and try to see what we can do." And so I appreciate everybody making time with the short notice, because we really just started on this like earlier today. So yeah. It was a short notice, a little gig here, but I think it was a really good thing tonight.
Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna say thank you one more time, and then I'm gonna cut out real quick. We do have Mr. Steve Grace back. Steve, we're gonna end with you tonight. Can you hear us? Awesome. Well, Steve, we're at the end of the episode. Don't want to take up too much of your time, but you're sitting in number 1 for King of Spurs this year. How does it feel to be in that top spot at this point in the season?
I'm not surprised.
There you go. What do you have cooking for the rest of the year? How many more birds are you hoping to add to your total?
Well, I know we're a hen sitting on a nice clutch of about 13 eggs, and I think I can get about 6 more gobblers out of that batch if they'll hurry up and hatch.
There you go. Who needs to hunt the roost when you can hunt the nest, right?
That's right.
Well, sir, we'll end with you, but what's one tip, trick, or tactic that you have to hunt extreme weather birds?
Well, it all pertains to what area you're hunting. If I hunt a lot of timbered areas that has very little openings, so I'm almost wishing for rain when I go to a place like that. When you're hunting a place that's 90% timber and 10% openings, and you have a rainy day, you have all the turkeys that's in that whole area. They're eventually going to come to those openings on a rainy day, whether it be a little field or a road. A lot of times it'd be one of the wider roadways or something. It makes for some good, pretty good places to set up on a nasty day. And a day when you might not hear one gobble, but you can still kill one. And I'm primarily a fair weather run and gun guy where I'm gonna strike birds and set up on them and kill them in 15 minutes. I don't have any all day sets, rarely. But if it's gonna rain all day, I know where a little field is where the turkeys are going most likely to come on a rainy day. I will 3 or 4 hour situation like that.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. It is it kind of comes back to what everybody else has said. If you know where the turkeys are, if you know where the turkeys frequent in those extreme weather conditions, go where the birds are.
Yeah, stuff like that. A lot of times I don't hear very well in the high wind. Wind be howling through the trees and stuff, and I'll just use a tactic I call varmint calling tactic, because it's much like you do when you're calling coyotes. You go to a spot and you call for the amount of time. The coyote, he's generally going to be there within 15, 30 minutes. And a turkey's the same way. If he's generally going to come within 45 minutes, and coming from almost out of hearing, and on a day, go to ripping that thing or just get loud on your diaphragm, and I'll set up and I'll stay in a spot for 30, 35, 40 minutes. And if I don't see or hear one within that time, I'll pick up and move a quarter of a mile and repeat. So, at least I'm getting a hunt on those nasty days. I'm not looking to limit out in bad weather. It's just if I can pick up another bird or two every season in bad weather and rainy weather, windy weather, then I'm good with that. I'm gonna have enough good days that I'm gonna get some 15-minute kills on those good days. But it's nice when you can pick up a bad weather turkey too.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
All right.
thank you for joining tonight, and from all of us at Bow Hunting League, for myself, Lance DeYoung, and my daughter Hadley, thank you for tuning in tonight. Thank you everybody who joined tonight and gave us their tips and tricks. And like we always say, if you're out and you're hunting, don't give up. Go out there, try and find another opportunity to get in the woods, enjoy the great outdoors, and it always has the opportunity to bring a bird home. So from all of us at Bow Hunting League, good luck this week, and we'll see y'all next week. Thanks, everybody.